Last month, in Greek waters, an Iranian flag tanker was confiscated. Because this is what countries do in 2022. They just confiscate stuff belonging to foreign nations in order to build on international trust, I guess. And when asked why Greece has done such a thing, they answered that they responded to a request from the United States. So the United States required Greece to confiscate a foreign nation's oil tanker, and Greece obliged. Now, from the US side, a person which doesn't want to identify themselves, speaking on behalf of the US government, said that they were concerned about the ship's cargo, and they said that the oil should be handed over at the port of Charistos on the Aegean Sea. So this is very bizarre. I mean, again, during the middle of an energy crisis, the ship belonging to a bad nation, Iran, gets confiscated. It has 100,000 tons of crude oil. And the Greek government says, well, we did it because the US asked us to. And the US says, well, we did it because we were worried about the cargo, and they don't give any other details. So as you can imagine, the Iranian leader was fuming, and he said that this is international piracy, that they had no right to take it from them. Eventually, the Greeks and the Americans said that they were violating US-EU agreements regarding transportation of oil from Russia. I guess the Iranians didn't get the memo. Like, if you want to sell oil from Russia to the US, you have to do it through India, right? So India buys the oil from Russia, and it then sells it to the US at a premium. That's how civilized people do it. Transporting it through an oil tanker is not the correct way of handling business, I guess. So, as a response, as you saw in the beginning of the video, the Iranian Supreme Leader sent its Revolutionary Guard Corps in order to seize one of the Greek oil tankers. And this happened 13 hours ago. People are still discussing the incident. But I am a little bit baffled on the fact that the Iranian Supreme Leader has a Twitter account. I mean, I understand he is a very bad man, right? And we know that American politicians had their Twitter accounts taken down. But for some reason, this gentleman is allowed to post on Twitter, and I have seen many of his posts violating TOS. In this situation, he is glorifying piracy because, again, like, two wrongs don't make a right. Okay, like, yeah, okay, Greece took their tanker, and now they're taking Greece's tanker. It's not like they took their tanker back. I get the international circumstance and all of that, but it's still piracy, right? Like, if you steal something from me, and I break into your house and steal something from you, we both go to jail? Like, we both committed theft? Right? Like, I just want to point out that he manages to have a Twitter account. It's what's fascinating. But even more so, Iranian people don't have a Twitter account. Alright, like, just so you can understand the hilarious circumstance and the irony, is that in his country, Twitter is banned. He is allowed to use Twitter, and he is allowed to break Twitter's TOS. It's like chef kiss and hypocrisy, like, mwah. Meanwhile, American politicians and journalists and other people get banned on Twitter. Whatever. But the reason I am talking about this is that it seems that the situation is just getting worse and worse. And is deteriorating, and no one is talking about it. Like, people have written articles, but it's like in the corner of the paper, like, oh, by the way, this happened. Yeah, again, this transpired. It's like, okay, but like, what's next then? Like, what is Greece going to do? You know, is Iran going to take more oil tankers from Greece? I remind people that we are in the middle of an energy crisis. I just want to put it out there. And I want to remind people that Iran seems to conduct nuclear experiments in order to get a nuke. Like, these things are connected, you know? Like, otherwise, they wouldn't have the cojones to pull something like this. And this shows the fact that the US doesn't have the same weight it used to. Because back in the Trump era, you know, Iran would never have the balls to pull something like this. But now they do. Which is very omoshiroi, and I do think it's worthy of a conversation and worthy talking about it. Like, why is the US not scary anymore, and how can we make the US be scary anymore? So things like this don't happen. Again, this is my personal interest, considering that I'm under NATO. I would rather the oil tankers keep arriving in Europe. Preferably, Greece should not confiscate them. But, this is tribalism. Team Greece, what can I say? Look, if I was in Iran, I would have probably be other team. But right now, Team Greece. I'm just kidding. But this is the consequence of doing things that weren't done before. Like, before, you didn't just have one nation unilaterally seizing the goods of another nation. I mean, we have these yachts belonging to foreign people we don't like in our port. Let's confiscate all of them overnight. With no judicial order, no nothing. Or, in this situation, the U.S. told us to confiscate it. We're not talking about it. Let's ask the U.S. The U.S. doesn't give much information either. Right? This is very shady. But worse off, it's very concerning. Because it shows just how deep the energy crisis is going, to the point where you have to confiscate ships belonging to a foreign nation. I mean, surely there were other ways. You turn them around. Say, all right, well, you're violating this treaty, you need to turn back. Okay? That would be one thing. If it happens again, then we're going to confiscate it. But that's not what happened. It's like, no, they took the oil, right? So, why? Well, because they could. Okay, well, if that's the logical argument, that might makes right. Well, I guess in this situation, the Iranians could take a couple of unarmed Greek vessels, and, well, what are you going to do? It's your morality. It's your logic. I guess the only other thing would be, well, you need to show more strength than they. And that leads to conflict. I would rather not lead to conflict. I like the condition of civilized agreements where you have diplomacy and you talk with people. But I guess we're moving away from that. Maybe it's due to the Johnny Depp trial that everyone likes Pirates of the Caribbean. And now we get to see a modern version of piracy with armed gunmen in helicopters taking down civilian-operated ships. But let me know what you guys think, and don't forget to tune in tomorrow to This Week is Stupid. It's going to be an excellent episode, I guarantee, and afterwards, I'm going to do a live stream with the man who started it all, Sargon of Akkad. So don't forget to subscribe, give a thumbs up, and if you really like the content, don't forget to give us super thanks. I'd really appreciate that. Of course, let me know what you guys think in the comment section, and I'll see you there. Take care.